If you come at the king, you best not miss.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest, and new
Acknowledge us.
Hey, guys, we're here at the Red Carpet Ring, guys. We are here. We're here to talk about WWE SmackDown, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins in Chicago. We also here to talk about what happened on SmackDown, the rating, everything else, the grading. And then we'll also talk about what went right and what went wrong with SmackDown and current news. And also we'll talk about, we're going to have a little different one today. What we're going to do is normally I have a bonus round, which I will still do, but this time it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of a not just any bonus round. It's going to be more of a double bonus round. So let's not miss out on that. Definitely going to get into that. So that's what we'll do. Get the likes of as we come into the ring. We definitely gonna talk about this one. Very lot to talk about on the SmackDown here. But other than that though, guys, how you guys doing? We in the ring, we in here, we here. Also, we here live on Facebook and X as well. So let's tune into that as well. We're also here for that. Other than that though, we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna definitely get into and discuss all the stuff that happened. But before we do, let's go over the match card for SmackDown. And let's look what happened on the show. Now for this match card, as follows, as advertised, we did have CM Punk, Seth, and Roman appear in Chicago. We also have a Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman, last man standing. Not only was it a last man standing match, number one contendership for the United States Championship. Speaking of United States Champion, LA Knight went 1-1 against Tama Tonga. That's not on here. And also B-Fab 1-on-1 versus Naomi. But let's get on to the opening segment of the show. The opening segment here, we have CM Punk. He did his thing here. We had him, he was in Hometown Hero come out. Crowd was definitely behind him. He said he thanked AJ, thanked his dog Larry. He is so happy to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Finally got his wish, which was granted last week on SmackDown. So glad that he's in the main event. However, you know, he did tell Paul Heyman last week that's not the favor he really wanted. You know, thanks for the main event for WrestleMania. That's not really what he wants. He also said that Paul Heyman came out and he wants to know what the favor is before Roman Reigns show up. But he said he'd rather tell Paul Heyman when Roman Reigns arrived. But it was a good opening segment. The crowd was really into it. Who wants to know what the main event favor is for CM Punk being WrestleMania main event? And then Paul Heyman was telling the crowd not to laugh when you mentioned getting fired back, you know, and back when he was in WWE years ago. Other than that, it was a good way to kick off SmackDown. Let's go on to the first match of the night. Let's get on to that. Rey Fenix goes 1-on-1 against Nathan Frazier. Nathan Frazier, as we know, is from NXT. He's one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions. He good up first opponent for Rey Fenix. We've been seeing a lot of Nathan Frazier on SmackDown. He was on SmackDown not too long ago against when Gunther was on the episode. So we saw a little bit of that too. Other than that, though, this was a good back and forth. A good exchange between Nathan Frazier and Rey Fenix. Good wrist locks, good takedowns and everything. But also, it was very, very competitive. Um, and don't be surprised if Nathan Frazier gets called to the main roster at some point because he's looking good right now. Other than that, though, Ray Fenix he hit the Mexican Muscle Buster for the pin and the win. And then he cut a segment afterwards saying he always wanted to say he was in WWE, happy for that. But I do like Nathan Frazier, who also got a good suicide dive. He almost landed wrong, but definitely a good match. I don't know who came with this idea. Nathan Frazier being the first opponent for Ray Fenix. This was a very good match for Ray Fenix being in WWE. Got his brother Penta on Monday Night Raw. Then we have him on SmackDown. Very, very good though. Other than that, let's get on to the next match. Next match, we got LA Knight versus Tama Tonga, non-US title match. A lot of talk backstage prior. You know, uh, LA Knight mocking Tama Tonga with his slogan, with his saying. Other than that, though, this was good. LA Knight had a very good offense in the beginning of the match. And then we saw, of course, Solo would get a distraction. Now, it allowed Tama Tonga to send LA Knight to the apron and to the announce table. He was getting some very good competitiveness with LA Knight, Tama Tonga. But at the end of the night, despite the distraction from Solo, LA Knight was able to hit the BFT on Tama Tonga and gain the pinfall victory. But I do like this match. Very good match. Next match we're gonna talk about DIY versus the Motor City Machine. Not this one. Oops. Went one too far. DIY versus MCMG. Now this is for number one contendership for the WWE Tag Team Championships. So we have that going on. Other than that, though, I will say that this was a good competitive match. I mean, honestly, MCMG has never failed to disappoint me. I like the work they put in. I like the competitive between both teams. We know there's some history there. Remember, it was John Gargano who turned on MCMG when they were tag team champions to allow DIY to win the tag team belts. Now, they tried some of that crafty stuff in this match. MCMG was up to game. We saw Chris Sabin chomp start off the match. But at the end of the day, one of the top turnbuckles was exposed during the match. And it ended up with Tommaso Ciampa crashing into it. But it allowed a distraction. Chris Sabin was able to roll him up for the win. And then we saw also a tease of Street Profits, the champions that were also in attendance. Now they went on to, let MCMG what they're going up against, and we're going to see a match between these two eventually. DIY, I don't know. They've had a lot of hiccups since losing the tag team belts. Don't be surprised if this team break up DIY. It could break up in the near future, or Johnny or Tommaso want to turn on each other. We expect that in the near future. I'm just saying it could come down to that. Could not come down to that. I'm just saying. No, but we'll see what happens next. Other than that, very good match. But let's move on to the next part of the show. Now, next part here we got Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton face off. Now we know this was one of the biggest segments of the night. There was no physicality. Roy Barrett he moderated the whole segment, and Tiffany Stratton just let off. She mocked Charlotte, talking about how Charlotte Flair was what Tiffany's doing at 25. She's walked to WrestleMania's champion. Talk about how Charlotte Flair was drinking in her dad's basement. Then she just went very personal, Charlotte Flair couldn't even get a word out because she was getting booed so heavily in Chicago. Chicago crowd was definitely not behind Tiffany Stratton, not by one bit, definitely not behind her. However, Charlotte Flair did everything she could to get the attention. Um, Tiffany Stratton also called Charlotte Flair a Nepo baby. Then Charlotte Flair said Queen Nepo baby and all that stuff. That was another part in there. But doing everything she can to get under Charlotte's skin. This was the one that was the hitter. And I'm going to talk more about this. This will be the bonus round. If you stick around for Red Carpet Rank on YouTube. She talked about how, you know, you may be the queen in the ring. Outside of the ring, you're alone. You're 0-3. Talking about her divorces, being divorced 3 times. Charlotte Flair, you can tell, was not happy about that. And Tiffany got out the ring. And then Charlotte Flair says that Kaiser, her real life, Tiffany's real life boyfriend, was in her DMs. And it was just crazy, though. But definitely a segment there. We'll talk more about this later on. Let's go to another part. We got a one-on-one match. And this match here was B-Fab versus Naomi. This steered her from last week because Naomi was going to attack B-Fab before B-Fab had a match against Charlotte Flair. We knew that B-Fab was going to spin a block on Naomi, which she did. Um, I will say B-Fab's getting better and much, much better in the ring. Bleacher came out to escort B-Fab to the ring, to watch at ringside. But while Naomi was coming out before, get her entrance going, Jay Cargill would tackle from behind. Security came in, all the officials came, broke it up. Um, Naomi did a good job selling, could barely get into the ring after being attacked by Jay Cargill. But Naomi was able to rebound. She got a lot of offense on B-Fab, show her ruthless aggression as a brand new heel that she is. And it wasn't a long match, but it did show Naomi's ruthlessness. Like I said, she able to get B-Fab in here with the 1, 2, 3 and win the match. However, Jade Cargill, was brought back out, and she came back out. She kicked Naomi. Naomi got out the ring. Before that was done, before Jade could get her hands on Naomi some more, Nick Aldis came out and he said he had enough of this. All this going on between these two. So it's official at WrestleMania 41 that we're going to get ourselves a match, and in the match we're going to get at WrestleMania 41 is going to be a good one because it will be like I said, this was going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. We noticed we're going on for weeks between these two, but it's going to have to come at some point where we're going to have to get a match between Naomi and Jay Cargill. It's bound to happen at some point. So with that being said, at WrestleMania 41, night one, night two, no matter what it is, we knew this was going to happen at some point. We knew it was going to come down to this. There's no other way around it. However, it's happening. Like I said, it's official, most definitely going down. And we're going to get ourselves a match. And the match we're going to get at WrestleMania 41 is going to finally be a good match. It'll be Naomi going one-on-one against Jade Cargill. So we're finally getting that match at WrestleMania 41. These two definitely need to get it out in the ring. It'll be Jade Cargill's first solo match at WrestleMania, and Naomi, her first solo match at WrestleMania since she returned to WWE as of last year when Naomi returned to Royal Rumble. But definitely can't see what's going to happen next with these two. But let's get on. Let's get on to the next part of the show. All right. Kevin Owens came out. Nick Aldis, he also stated that, he said don't try this at home. Kevin Owens came out for many new news before SmackDown. Kevin Owens dealing with a neck injury. And he said with this neck injury, it's been lingering him for months. He said that it's going to have to result in him getting surgery, and which means he will have to take time off from the ring, and also not going to have the match that was anticipated at WrestleMania Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 41. That's no longer going to happen now, and it sucks. But we're not going to get that match anymore. And we know Randy Orton was not pleased with that at all. Nick Aldis told Randy Orton, "You're not getting that match." Next thing you know, Randy Orton he didn't like that at all. He didn't like how that was going down. I know he was very, very upset about that, the results of that. But we know that Randy Orton, he's the Viper for a reason. That's what he does. And he's not going to go for it at all. He's just not going to stand for it. But we know that he had to reply the way he could reply. And we know Randy Orton, because he is the Viper, that he was going to not like what Nick Aldis said, other than you know, just standing there being upset like Randy Orton. We know that he does. Randy Orton, he definitely heard the voices in his head when he heard this segment by Nick Aldis telling there was no match. He had to act accordingly.
Oh
You know, Randy Orton was not gonna just let that slide. He wants a match, and he been wanting to get his hands on Kevin Owens for quite some time. But unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. So no WrestleMania match. I heard that Randy Orton's supposed to get a replacement match. How are they going to do it? But we'll talk more about this though. Let's get on to the next part of the show. There will be no match. Like I said, it sucks. Kevin Owens is out with an injury. So, like I said, not at WrestleMania, unfortunately. But let's get on to the next part of the show. We did have a last minute standing match before the main segment. And we did have Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman. And they added later on that whoever won this match would be the number one contender and will be the person compete for the United States Championship. Both of these men definitely putting that work. I actually was a fan of this match. They show how strong both men can be. Braun Strowman was not wasting no time. Now, it looked like Braun Strowman at some points was not able to answer the 10 count, but he got up. I like how Braun Strowman speared Jacob Fatu to the barricades. Also like how Braun Strowman hit the suplex in the crowd. He put Jacob through two tables outside in the crowd. But we know Jacob was going to come back. He came back by punching Braun Strowman through the table, then getting to his feet back to 9. Braun Strowman was not able to answer the count of 10. So that means Jacob Fatu won the match, and he is going to be the number one contender for the United States Championship, currently held by LA Knight. But definitely a good match, though. Braun Strowman, he's good at these last minute standing match. He had one against Bronson Reed months ago, and I think he lost that too. So Braun, he's known for putting good big men over in these matches and making them look good. So let's get on to the main segment of the show, and we're talking about the favor. Before Roman came out, Seth came out early in the night with Paul Heyman. But we know CM Punk had something to say, and he came up to Roman Reigns and told him that what he wants for the favor is to have Paul Heyman in his corner at WrestleMania 41, the main event. And Roman was just laughing at Punk like this ain't gonna happen. Paul Heyman, just sitting there, and Roman Reigns told Paul Heyman, tell him no, and he didn't say nothing. And Roman got really upset, saying, "I made you relevant. I brought you in here to this family. Tell him no." And we know that Paul Heyman wasn't going to do that. And CM Punk was mentioning how, that was his dream to WrestleMania main event WrestleMania. Also get there and also do whatever you can to do that. We know that's how it's going to go down. And Paul Heyman just could not say no to CM Punk. Seth Rollins in the corner laughing, chuckling up, eating all of this up. And when Paul Heyman told Roman no, Roman just took it a little bit. Roman was not cool with that. He looked at Paul, got him in the cornered him. Then CM Punk going to attack Roman Reigns, hit with GTS, and then they stare down with Seth Rollins. And while Paul was looking shocked at the corner, and that was it. And everyone's saying that Paul Heyman turned on Roman Reigns for not, agreeing with Roman Reigns and sided with CM Punk. Well, other than that, though, that was the end of Friday Night SmackDown, and that's what we had. So we had a lot of events here. We had B-Fab versus Naomi, number one contendership for the United States Championship in the last man standing match, and a number one contendership for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Final segment, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Punk revealing what his favorite is. But you guys let me know, what did you think of the whole show as a whole? What did you think about it? Also, what I forgot to add as well, stuff that was happening through the night. LA Knight had a good match. But also, since Jacob did win the last man standing match, he is the official number one contender, and it will be at WrestleMania. We will get Jacob Fatu challenging LA Knight for the United States Championship. Other than that, though, that's another match that was made official alongside Naomi and Jade Cargill. So 2 matches added to WrestleMania card. Other than that, though, what you guys think of SmackDown? With this show, everything going on, I would say it's a very, very well structured show. I would say, since it was well structured, a lot of story going on, because we're leading up to Road to WrestleMania, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. So, very good, solid show. A lot of good moments there. You guys let me know what you think of the show. Let's see what people are saying in the community. All right. According to the community, we have 75% give it an A, 11% give it a B, 5% give it a C, and surprisingly, 9% give it a D or F. So some people felt some type of way about the show. But other than that, though, let's go ahead and let's get into what went right and what went wrong with SmackDown. First, let's go into what went wrong with SmackDown. What stuff I did not like about the show. First thing I didn't like, Kevin Owens' injury. It sucks when any wrestler gets hurt, whether I like the wrestler or not, the character. Nobody wants to see anyone get injured, and we don't know when he's going to come back. So that sucks. So, of course, that's on the list automatically.
What's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
So that's one thing I did not like. It's obvious. Another thing I did not like about the show, on top of Kevin Owens being out, Randy Orton don't really have a WrestleMania 41 opponent. Now I'm pretty sure they'll find a WrestleMania 41 opponent for him. Rumors I heard it was Shinsuke Nakamura or somebody else they'll drag out. But we wanted Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Obviously, it will be. He may get an opponent, but not the opponent we want him to wrestle because of the injury by Kevin Owens with his neck. So that sucks.
What's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
So, of course, that's something else I did not like about the whole thing, for that matter. Another thing, let's go over another thing I did not like about SmackDown. Another thing I did not like about it, which I will, like I said, I'll discuss it. Did not like the whole Tiffany and Charlotte segment. Did not like this whole face off. I'll talk more about it, but it's just some stuff was just kind of rushed there, and I don't want to talk more about it now. But it was a real unscripted angle, but I was not the biggest fan of it. But we'll talk more about it though. Definitely not one of my favorites.
What's going to happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
So that's stuff I did see that I did not like about Friday Night SmackDown. But let's talk about what did go right with SmackDown. We're gonna talk about that right now. So what did go right with Friday Night SmackDown this episode? Um, Rey Fenix debut was great. Nathan Frazier did well, also did well. They made each other look good, very competitive match. Similar to his brother Penta on Raw, very strong debut and very good reception from the audience. So can't wait to see what they're gonna do with Rey Fenix here on SmackDown in the WWE. That's a plus in my book. Another thing I liked on SmackDown this week, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest promos. They had their vignettes. He's selling good with the eye being attacked by Damian Priest last week with the South of Heaven on top of the car. He said that when he prays, he always get what he wants, and it will happen. Damian Priest also went on his little promo, or vignette, I should say. He said that Drew McIntyre needs to stop playing victim, stop blaming anybody else except himself. But it's gonna be a good match with these two. So I'm on board with this feud. Like I said, I was not initially on board with Drew versus Damian at WrestleMania, but now I see the way they're building it up. They're doing a great job at that, and I can't wait to see what both of these men do to each other at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas.
Yeet.
So another good thing there. Another thing, of course, I'm gonna talk about this as well. I like the whole segment here. I have to say of the whole CM Punk's favor. I like it. It's crazy. As simple as the favor is, it's gonna hold a lot of weight, especially coming at WrestleMania 41. So with that, I'm most definitely on board with this as well.
Yeet.
So that's everything for what went right and what went right and what went wrong with SmackDown. We're gonna get into some current news in a second. We're gonna see what's going on because there's some stuff I do want to talk about as well. Um, when it comes to current news, we gotta talk about stuff that was going on that I did discuss earlier. We're gonna talk more about it. This is about Kevin Owens' injury, and he's upset about the injury that was leaked on social media. KO was not happy about that because before SmackDown aired, like I said earlier, the news already had broke out that KO was going to have to take some time off, and it will be a canceled match of Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. Now let's see what Kevin Owens had to say regarding this whole thing. Now he said here, he shared this is an interview with I think it's called In My Mom's Basement Barstool. But let's read what KO had to say regarding this whole thing. He said it really annoys me. I actually woke up to seeing that it was actually leaked, and it really upset me, especially because I know that whoever leaked it in some office employee that should know this in the first place and told people this was going to leak, and that they were no, we're going to keep it tight. He said that he expected to get leaked, but then he said then yesterday obviously some department had to find out for some reason, and now someone who shouldn't know this stuff found out, and it went there and it shouldn't have. It went where it shouldn't have, excuse me, and then it took away my right to tell people. So KO saying that he told very few people. He said they kept it to themselves. Whatever front office or whoever in the company, they leaked the news out that he had a neck injury, had to get surgery and all that. So Kevin Owens did an interview about it. Was not too pleased about this whole thing. Like I said, I'm gonna talk more about it. Maybe put a video about this. If not here, definitely talk more about it later on. I will get more to depth into it. But this was definitely something Kevin Owens was not anticipating for. But you guys let me know what you think about that situation. That's crazy. That Kevin Owens information got leaked like that. But we in the age of social media. But other than that, let's move on to one of the bonus rounds because we got to talk about it, guys. This is part one of the bonus round. It's going to be talked about, and it's going to be a doozy though, and it's going to be something to talk about. But let's get into it. We're going to talk about Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, and we're going to talk about the unscripted promo between these two and the whole feud as a whole. So let's get into it. Give me a couple months, we'll get this started. All right, now we're going to talk about, like I said, Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton went off script. Um, we know that this was getting really, really intense between these two. Now, I said it before, this was actually not my most favorite feud of WrestleMania 41. We talked about a lot of matches, we talked about a lot of stuff here, but Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton was definitely not the most favorite feud of everything. It's the way it's been booked. That's the whole thing come down to it. I think if they had did it better, it would be booked better. But it's definitely not one to talk about. But we know since then that these two have since they've been going at each other on promos. Now I ain't gonna lie. Ever since Charlotte came back, Charlotte's been on all cylinders with Tiffany Stratton. She's been calling out everything, and it's been going on for quite some time. But it's a good way to build for the WrestleMania 41 match. But I will say that Tiffany Stratton, um, my issue with that is Tiffany Stratton. This is like I said, it's an amazing setup. That my thing is Tiffany had just won the championship not too long ago. That's the problem that I'm having with this. And the reason I say that because before Tiffany goes off and face Charlotte Flair, especially at WrestleMania, especially in Charlotte's first feud since returning to WWE, this is not this has not stated her case very well. I would say that. I've always said that Tiffany Stratton, she is better off as a heel than a baby face. And that's how they got her looking like a pure babyface since she won a title. And I think this is why she's looking so weak compared to a veteran like Charlotte Flair, because we're supposed to get a big WrestleMania match between two women, of their own right. But Tiffany is, I don't think it's making it. But the thing about it is, with this whole promo, since they get it all script, did it make the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton feud much better? Yes and no. It did because it got personal. It didn't have to go personal. Tiffany made that personal, but at the same time, it was drawn out. It's still a little drawn out, but things really got hot. If you remember from the split screen promo, when Charlotte Flair said that she's made Tiffany look weak. She cooked her. She said, "Hey, you know, you're not the most important woman in WWE. You're not the most important woman on SmackDown, let alone WWE." And Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton said she's the most important one. She's champ. And Charlotte kept saying via cash in. That really made Tiffany look bad. And Tiffany had no way to reply to that. But she definitely came back this week with this promo. She definitely came back on all cylinders. She came back this time. She came back against Charlotte Flair. We knew that Tiffany was going to say something to Charlotte Flair of that stature. We knew she was going to say something to the magnitude would definitely get Charlotte Flair upset, because we know that I'm pretty sure Tiffany has been seeing all stuff online of why this feud looks so terrible. So Tiffany came back this week and she hit Charlotte Flair with some heavy hitters, saying, I'm 25, walk to WrestleMania champion. You're basically you were drinking, being depressed. You're alone. You got you basically got you're 0-3. Your marital status, been divorced 3 times, everything, and it did not make Charlotte Flair look good at all.
What is that record? Like what? 0-3? Woo!
Another problem I have, back to Tiffany Stratton being better as a heel. If Tiffany Stratton is a babyface, and especially a champion, she did get Charlotte Flair on the promo side this week. She went personal. Why did she run out the ring saying "woo"? Run out the ring like a coward heel before Charlotte could get a word in. And that's when Charlotte Flair said, "Hey, Kaiser slid into my DMs." She said that part, but Charlotte Flair, she tried her best to really come back at Tiffany, but due to the crowd booing her in Chicago, due to not be able to say anything, I know that had got to Charlotte at some point. She tried to play it off, but I know the crowd was really getting to her. But I know after Tiffany Stratton said that line, the 0-3 divorce, that pissed Charlotte Flair off script. That really got to her. And you could tell she could try to play it off, but that still got to Charlotte Flair. She was not happy about that at all. Like I said, that makes the feud better because of that, but at the same time, it didn't have to go there. It was a cheap way. Like I said, Tiffany Stratton, she is better off as a heel. I don't know why they have her a babyface champion. She should be a heel champion. Now I get it when she cashed in the Money in the Bank on Nia. Nia was mean to her. Still could have kept her a heel and just made Nia the babyface, since Nia was being cashed in on. I think the role should have reversed when Tiffany won the title. She could have stayed in heel mode, not revert to babyface, and Nia stayed and Nia go to babyface mode. And now she's looking, even though she's a babyface, still don't look strong like she should. We got a big match between Charlotte and Tiffany. They got a big match ahead of them, and I think this doesn't make the match look strong enough. Despite the women are both talented in the ring, in my opinion, but for us to tell a story, this is not the way to go about it. So, I just think there's a big problem there. If you really want to sell this as a great WrestleMania match, you can't. Charlotte Flair should have been a babyface, and Tiffany should have been a heel. But I get it. Charlotte Flair got booed when she won the Royal Rumble. The fans are booing her. I get it. And this is why I've always said this before. This is a thing of Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Me personally, I believe that this was a feud started too soon. Meaning, Tiffany Stratton won a belt a little too early. I think she should have won a belt maybe later, maybe a few months after WrestleMania, at least right after WrestleMania. And I think she should have had some feuds under her belt first before challenging Charlotte Flair. She should have faced Charlotte Flair much, much later on in her career. This is still a brand new Tiffany, brand new, who's only been on the main roster for a year, going against the veteran Charlotte Flair, 14-time women's champion Charlotte Flair. So I thought this was a way, way too premature feud. Very premature feud. Shouldn't happen this soon. I'm not saying it should never happen, but this is the dream match that everybody wanted. And that's my whole issue with dream matches. Everyone say dream match, dream match, dream match. Sometimes dream matches happen too soon or it happens too late. This was a case of too soon. And this will make both women look bad right now, Charlotte and Tiffany. And this is why this feud can't really get over the hump like it should. But but I know a lot of people. I know some people have things they had to say. There's some things they had to say about the whole reaction of the unscripted promo, and we'll see what a couple people had to say. I know Denise Salcedo spoke on this on her podcast, so we're gonna see what she had to say. She definitely spoke on it. There was a whole deal behind it because it definitely needs to be highlighted. I should say definitely highlighted to that point, but we'll see what's going on. But definitely we'll see what's caused the whole thing there. But we could tell that this was an unscripted thing. Charlotte Flair was not happy about it. And we're going to see what the whole next thing going to be as a whole, how this whole thing going to play out, because we do have a WrestleMania match with these two at some point. But let's get on into it. We got to talk about it. Talk more into this. Not only I'm going to speak on it now, I'm going to speak more about it, but let's take time out and let's see what else is going on, because I'm not the only one that felt this way. This was crazy, but man, I wish things been a little bit better. But we'll see how this go though, because this was crazy between these two, Tiffany and Charlotte. Hopefully this is. I don't know how much more they can do to this feud. I don't know what more they can add to it because it got so personal. And this is really a couple weeks before WrestleMania. So I don't know how they're going to play this out as a whole. But I know they're going to do whatever they can, story with the creative and everything else. But I don't know, guys. I just don't know. This was a very personal thing here. But they just got to get something going. Like I said, it's what happens when you rush everything so quickly. It's what happens when it's go down. It doesn't make it end up not having substance. But we'll see what Tiffany and Charlotte going to do later on. But Denise Salcedo spoke on it. Let's see what she has to say about it, though. Let's see.
So Tiffany threw in a bunch of different shots, right? Called out the differences of them between when they were both 25 years old. She called out a lot of different things. But the most memorable portion of this is that afterwards, Tiffany Stratton brought up Charlotte Flair's divorces. Her 0-3 record, I think is what she said. And that's because, she's been divorced 3 times. And at the end of that, Charlotte said something about Ludwig Kaiser, which is Tiffany Stratton's boyfriend, being in her DMs. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, what is happening here? Robin, what was your reaction to this? Because mine was, what the F is going on?
Mine was, this is the best thing that could have possibly ever happened to this match in this feud. I don't know what's true, what's not true, but it cut through, right? Like it cut through. It built heat. It built anticipation. It made people care. It made people invested. And Tiffany Stratton got that line off. I think Charlotte had just said that, more or less. Yeah, I think I don't remember. I was scrolling past and I saw her do like some sort of confessional where she said she messed up again, or she lost, heartfelt, because I mean, look, a divorce is a big thing to go through, so it's not something to take lightly, obviously, but it was weaponized by Tiffany Stratton and it worked. And then the DM thing after, you're like, whoa, did that really cut out a cord? Where are we at right here, right? Like, are we Raw? on SmackDown. So I think to me, that's whatever people speculate about if it was part of the way the promos were supposed to go or off the cuff. It made Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair a bigger WrestleMania match, and
Tiffany went heavily off script. Oh shit! If Sean tweeted that, then obviously I take Sean's word for that. Let me actually go see what specifically Sean wrote, because I'm gonna want to know that for sure. Give me 1 second, guys, while I pull up Sean's tweet. Okay, here we go. So Sean Rossap tweeted 7 minutes ago, everyone I'm speaking to believes that Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton went heavily off script. Yo!
Messy.
Dude, that kind of makes, I'm sorry. Are we terrible people for living for the drama?
I mean, no. I mean, look, again, ultimately, it's better for the product. Like, that's what I said. Whether it was that or that was the script, it made the match better, made the build better, made the feud better. So they'll get over it.
It's wild stuff. I love it.
And that's what I was saying. Like, even though they went personal, that was Denise Salcedo and Robin on there, Lundberg. But I agree. Even though it went personal, it made the feud that much better, because before this unscripted promo on SmackDown, this whole feud had got dull and dry, and it was probably for a good majority of the fans, or a handful, the most least favorite feud heading into WrestleMania 41. At least it was mine, and that's how I saw it. But I don't know what else they could do. I really hope they play off this very well, because Charlotte was pissed off. Like I said, legit angry, and it seemed like Tiffany was running like a scared animal. She talked all this stuff about Charlotte Flair, what's she gonna do, and blah blah blah. And then if she says it, she just leaves the ring, just runs away, just runs like, oh, she out of there. And Charlotte can't even get a word on.
What is that record? Like what? 0-3? Woo!
Like, who runs off like that? If you're gonna deliver a line, especially a punchline like that, which is a great one for this feud, don't run off like that. Don't run like a scared animal. Don't run like a little girl. Come with it. If you don't come with it, come with it. That's how it should be done at the end of the day. That's what made things important. That's how you sell a feud, a story. That's how you tell a proper story. I like Tiffany Stratton, but like I said, Tiffany promos is not her strongest suit. And being the babyface is also not her strongest suit. She is born to be a heel. And I'm not just saying it because, now, back in NXT, when she was NXT Women's Champion, she was a heel in NXT, and she played that character very well. I just want to see her be a heel here. But I don't know. What do you guys think of this whole thing between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton? What you guys think of unscripted promo? Is this a feud that is a premature feud too soon? And has this unscripted promo helped the feud a little bit or a lot, or was it just too much? You guys let me know. But that's all I have for that. And definitely we'll talk more about this as well. Also I'm gonna add, we gotta go off Kaiser's reaction. Kaiser's reaction to Tiffany's boyfriend, and what Charlotte Flair said about the whole Kaiser my DMs. He said on his social media page on X, please do not flatter yourself. That was his response to that, because we know that Ludwig Kaiser, he does not normally go on social media. He has said this in interviews, especially with Chris Van Fleet, that he doesn't do that. He's not known for, being on social media back and forth. He said if he wasn't even a professional wrestler, he wouldn't even have a social media account at all, because social media is not his thing. And that's crazy, because he did not like the comments. And honestly, I don't think Kaiser was in Charlotte Flair's DMs. I think that was just a final attempt to Charlotte Flair to get back at Tiffany with what she said about her. And when he meant by do not flatter yourself, he was referencing the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart feud, when Shawn Michaels, then WWE champion back in the 90s, was talking to one of the Hart women. This is what he meant by that. He played this clip here, but Shawn Michaels told her, "Do not flatter yourself." And he said, "At Miss Charlotte WWE," referencing her on her social media account. So that's what he meant by "do not flatter yourself." But other than that, though, and I know Charlotte Flair spoke about her divorce, like Robin said on the Sherry Shepherd show. But other than that, though, this feud was too early, feud too soon, premature feud. But like I said, that's the end of that. Now, like I said, we do, however, we're not finished here. We do have another part, and we're gonna go into switch gears once again. Co-bonus round. This time we're talking about the main one, and we're talking about CM Punk, and we're talking about his WrestleMania 41 favor that he cashed in on. Give me a couple moments. We're gonna get that started too, and we're gonna get that going. A lot to talk about here as well. All right, this is second part of bonus round, and what we're going to talk about was CM Punk favor cost him at WrestleMania, and we're talking about at WrestleMania 41, which we already know is the triple threat match between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. These men do not like each other. We all know that. Now, CM Punk has been wanting for years, and I mean years, to get his final WrestleMania main event spot. He's been wanting it for years now. And thing about it is, he finally got it as of last week when they did the contract signing. But Paul Heyman told him that he will get the main event spot. You know, and CM Punk was happy and everything, but he said at the same token that is not the favor that he is looking for. And we've been wanting CM Punk, you know, Paul Heyman wants CM Punk to tell them what is the favor. And everyone wants to know what is the big favor that CM Punk wants. Everyone's been dying to know what's going on. Can we get the favor? You know, and it makes sense. He has to say it at some point. Well, he said what the favor was. If you guys didn't know, I think that at the end of the day, The favor was, of course, to be with Paul Heyman, and he wants Paul Heyman at his corner at WrestleMania. Now, what's going to happen is that favor is going to cost him. And I think the big favor won't be worth it. It's going to lead to some bad things happening. That's the way I see it. I think CM Punk risking everything for this favor is gonna hurt him. It's gonna definitely hurt him at some given point. And it sucks because it's gonna Paul Heyman you cannot trust this man. I know that's what CM Punk really wants. I know that's what he felt. He said he earned it. CM Punk has been in business for a long time, despite of course, being gone from WWE for 10 years, and of course being hurt last year too. He finally gets WrestleMania moment. But at what cost though? At what cost? The CM Punk, this all started from the whole War Games. It all started from there. It all steered from that. And I think that, since then, CM Punk thought he was doing a service, helping himself, but he's going to end up doing himself a disservice because Paul Heyman, he has a history of turning on people. If you guys look at the timeline, he turned on CM Punk back in 2013. He betrayed Brock back in 2022. And now Roman Reigns, when he said he has to be in CM Punk's corner. And that really got to Roman. It pissed him off. That's when he said Paul Heyman makes relevant and everything. And then once we saw that going on between these two, that's what led to a whole a dispute, not only with Paul and Roman, but also CM Punk and Roman. That's what led to the dispute of back and forth, and ended up with Roman Reigns getting GTS by CM Punk. But one thing we do got to talk about as well, and I said this earlier, Paul Heyman can't be trusted, no doubt about it. We know he is a slimy weasel. And if I was Roman Reigns, I'd keep my eye on him. CM Punk should keep his eye on him too, because he has betrayed CM Punk before. So we have to remember that too. But the problem is that people fail to realize you got to keep your eye on the ball. Got to keep an eye on the ball at all times. And this what Seth Rollins was alluding to before CM Punk even came out. He said, do you remember the heights of the century? Do you remember WrestleMania last year? Believe it or not, Seth Rollins, for one, why was he in the ring? I know he's a part of this match. I know that, he didn't really do nothing. He just stood there. But we got to remember, Seth Rollins is the X factor in this whole thing. He's the X factor. He's the guy you have to watch out for. You got to watch out for Seth Rollins. Why? Because Seth Rollins is a visionary, or was known as the architect. And we know the whole time we saw Roman and Punk get into it, we saw that Seth Rollins was just sitting there plotting, sitting there watching the whole time. He just sitting there watching CM Punk GTS Roman Reigns. And of course, he saw CM Punk approach him, do a stare down. But he definitely was enjoying this like it was cinema, like it's a joke, because he is plotting. Him and Paul Heyman, talked to each other earlier. It's just something you got to watch out for. And I think the whole thing is Punk and Roman be so focused on each other, they're going to forget about Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And that's what's going to cause Seth Rollins to come in, slide in, and get the pinfall, get the win, 1, 2, 3. And the thing about it is, the reason I know that Seth Rollins is going to Seth will win WrestleMania. I said this before. Seth will win WrestleMania, will win the triple threat match. Because no one's thinking about Seth Rollins. And Seth is playing the long game. It says he will win the triple threat. We gotta remember that history has shown that when you have someone in your corner, we have someone in your corner like we have Paul Heyman in the Punk corner, where you have these two side by side, when it looks like it could be a good match, good pairing of two people. And we know that CM Punk and Paul Heyman is a very good pairing people like to see. So we know that in history. But the thing about it is, when you have a pairing like this, and when you have someone in your corner, especially at WrestleMania, it doesn't turn out too well. And let me take you guys back. WrestleMania 2000. Remember this WrestleMania 4-way for the WWE Championship. Triple H champion, Stephanie McMahon in his corner. Big Show, Shane McMahon in his corner. Linda McMahon had Mick Foley in his corner. The Rock, the main number one contender, who won the Royal Rumble that year. Vince McMahon in his corner, who Rock didn't trust necessarily. And if you guys remember how that WrestleMania main event ended, when you have someone in your corner, you end up getting betrayed. And I wish people understand that that's how things go. And if you guys remember, that's what happened in WrestleMania 2000. When Vince hit the Rock, Stephanie shocked. That's what Vince did. Hit the Rock, betrayed him. That caused Triple H to get the pinfall and retain the WWE Championship. That's what happened. We saw that. So history can repeat itself. And Paul Heyman will turn on CM Punk like he did before. And like I said, Seth is going to be the one to benefit the most. Keep an eye on Seth Rollins. I got my eye on him. He's still my prediction to win the triple threat match between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. Seth will win this match because Punk and Roman are now, they're going to take the eye off him so much. And then Paul Heyman will get involved too, turn it on both Roman and Punk. And then that's when Seth will get the stomp in. That's it. But you guys let me know. What do you think? I think CM Punk favor will cost him at WrestleMania. You guys let me know what you think about that. We talked about SmackDown, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins in Chicago. Talk about a lot of stuff here. Check out the content here, Red Carpet Ring, guys. Until then, you already know what it is. It's OUT.
Something happened this weekend, and I've been struggling with it since I retired, but this weekend gave me closure.
Wow.
It really did. Like, it was fun. Obviously it was fun. I mean, you can't, doing this for as long as I have and be